Hi, my name is Edward Sanshin Oberholtzer. I'm the resident priest here at the Joseph Priestley Zen community in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. We are an affiliate of Empty Moon Zen. Mark Twain is often cited for saying things he never uttered, though he should have. Perhaps you know my favorite of these non-quotations. If you don't, consider this a gift. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. Pure, unadulterated Twain. Succinct, insightful, and just a touch folksy. In this universe, he should have said it, but didn't. Perhaps in some parallel universe he's putting away his pen, having graced the editorial pages of the New York Times with that little treasure. And this is something Mark Twain has in common with, of all people, Bodhidharma, who also, in all likelihood, never said, a special transmission outside the scriptures, not founded upon words and letters, by pointing directly to one's mind, it lets one see into one's own true nature and thus attain Buddhahood. That's a quote attributed to Bodhidharma centuries after his death, with little, if any, evidence that he actually ever uttered it. And yet, that is the very essence of Zen. I could go on. The number of sayings falsely attributed to the Buddha, to Huineng, in all likelihood to many of the worthies of early Zen practice in China, could fill volumes, do, in fact, fill volumes. Does it matter? Should we care whether the Heart Sutra was originally written in Sanskrit or was composed in Chinese, only to be back-translated into Sanskrit to gain an air of authenticity? The Dharma is not a revelation handed down by an archangel or another messenger from a god. It was worked out in the sweat and toil of practitioners through the ages, men and women wearing holes in the zafus they sat upon, the sandals and robes they wore out as they trudged from village to village on their begging rounds. The texts we turn to reveal the work and effort that generations of practitioners put in, work that revealed a Dharma already laid out for those with eyes to see and a willingness to work. And we find intimations of the Dharma in writers who knew nothing of the Dharma, different angles, each penetrating to some core, usually not illuminating the whole of reality, but touching upon single aspects in often clever ways. David Hume's notion that our minds are an assemblage of parts, that our sense of self is a fiction. Spinoza's veneration of nature as God, that we hold holy not a personalized God, but the world around us. Poets, Mary Oliver, who knew to let things go. William Blake with his universe in a grain of sand. Walt Whitman containing multitudes. Suggestions of the Dharma, hints that we seek. What is it they're touching on? What do they see? The Buddha's insights, both as a diagnosis of our human dissatisfaction and as a way to live with our suffering, came from observing the world around him and his experiences in it. And it's all there to be seen by anyone willing to open their eyes. Your eyes. My eyes. Siddhartha didn't have a claim to a monopoly on enlightenment. There is neither anything special about him or about us. Nor is it difficult to imagine a world in which Siddhartha didn't exist, or for that matter, where there were no Buddhists, no books on the Dharma, no liturgy, no temples or monasteries, no monks, no nuns, no priests, no teachers. The world would muggle on. We'd get up each day and face another day like any day. Work, joy, laughter, sorrows, sadness, that nagging feeling that things could be different, that vague dissatisfaction. Most of us carry that to our graves. Most of us in that world, in that other world, with no Buddhas, would carry it to our graves. Life is filled with contingencies, with accidents. Maybe not now, maybe next year in that world, maybe centuries from now, someone would wonder, perhaps there's a better way. Perhaps that dissatisfaction is not inevitable. I've no idea what form it would take. Maybe someone would try an app on their smartphone, take an adult education class in pottery, just take a walk in the woods. But someone who would take the time to open her eyes, to look inward, to see the true nature of our world, a world that, like it or not, is in constant flux. A world where our dissatisfaction with that change is the source of our suffering. A path through that world that people have glanced off, have picked up and failed to recognize for centuries. It just takes a moment, an accident, a seed falling on fertile ground, the sound of a pebble throcking on hollow bamboo, heard by an ear made ready by silence. And in that world, she could do that, just as in this world, we can do that. Sit down, be still, just look, listen, pay attention. The Dharma lies out in plain sight. It's all around us. It is us. It asks to be embraced.